Hello and welcome. Today we're going to be taking a look at some new Givenchy Beauty items, including this gorgeous neutrals palette in shade 9.12. And we have some new liquid lip balms, a new mascara. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to start off with the arm swatches. The Givenchy eyeshadow palettes, these are Le Neuf de Givenchy. And they do come with a plastic tray that goes above. I've already removed that. You can see we have a full-size mirror here. And then the utensils here, if you've never seen these before. So these actually are made to join together. So we have brushes here, synthetic brushes. We have a crease and a shader style brush, and you can see that they snap together, so you get a dual-ended brush. So this can be really great for traveling, or if you're somebody who doesn't like using the tiny applicators and you just want a little bit of a larger handle, this is a really great benefit for that. Now, the 9.12 palette, I have to say I don't know whether any of these are limited edition or permanent. They do not say limited edition. So I'm hoping that this will be around for a while. Honestly, there has been absolutely no notice about this palette. It just showed up on the website. So this is it. It's 9.12. It is gorgeous. And it's kind of the neutral palette I've been waiting for from Givenchy. So you can see we've got a mix of finishes in here. This first shade here is going to be a soft, kind of like a mink brown. It's a pretty neutral brown. It doesn't really lean cool or warm. Then we have this soft golden champagne. It's a little bit of a peachy champagne. So you can see that that one's going to be a little bit warmer there. And these here are shimmery. Then the third one in the top row here is going to be a white. And you can see that it's a pretty good white, you know. It doesn't lean too silvery. It doesn't really have that gold reflect in there. It's a pretty neutral, more of a creamy white. There is a touch of cream in there. And I think that touch of cream is really helpful because it doesn't make it too stark. So in the middle, we are looking actually at some other shades here, and we have some warmer shades in here. So this one here is going to be a brown. You can see it's a neutral brown with a warmer undertone to it. And this one is going to be more of a satin matte finish. The middle shade here is going to be our warmest shade. So this is like a camel color. So it's got a little bit of an oranginess to it. And then we have a peachy shade here. You can see this is very light. Let me go ahead and put another layer of that on there. But you can see we have a very soft peach. And again, these are matte with a soft satin matte finish. So this is the middle row. The bottom row, again, we're not really looking at shimmers here. We're looking at this same type of finish. And you can see we have a cooler brown here. This is a deep espresso brown. Our next shade here, this is going to be a taupey gray. So it looks very gray in the pan. You can see here. And you can see it does have a little bit of warmth to it. So it's not going to be a true gray shade. It's going to be more of a taupe. And then our last shade here, it looks more like a putty type shade. But again, we have a little bit of warmth in there. So overall, this palette is pretty neutral. So we have some shades that lean a little bit warmer, and we have some that lean a little bit cooler. So I would say predominantly it is a neutral palette, and it's going to work well as neutrals for most people. If you have a warmer skin tone than I do, this is going to be more of a cool neutral palette for you. And my skin tone, it's neutral with some cooler overtones. So I'm neutral leaning cool. So for the most part, things will look pretty neutral on me from this palette. Let's take a look at the eye swatches and talk a little bit about this and the formulas. This palette has 8 grams of product and it's made in Italy. It has a 6-month shelf life, which seems to be pretty standard now from a lot of luxury beauty brands. But I have to say, I have Givenchy palettes that are way older than this and they are still going strong. So, I would tend to say that the 6-month shelf life is nothing to really be concerned with. Now, the 9-pan eyeshadow palettes, I've been purchasing these from Givenchy since they first released them several years ago. It's probably been like 5 or 6 years, maybe 4 or 5 years actually, since they first came out. And I have to say, the first ones that came out, they were a little bit bit drier, not necessarily as consistent, but the last ones that they've been coming out with, they've really nailed this formula. And I think, and that's true of the older shades too. They all seem to be a bit revamped because I did repurchase a palette and it performs better than the first one that I picked up during the initial launch. So just something to note there. But I think these are great palettes. So they retail for $70 US. Givenchy is not the easiest makeup to find in the US. You know, we see the lipsticks, they're available at like Sephora and Nordstrom and so forth. The eyeshadow palettes though, they can be a little bit harder to find. I think this is one that if you're looking for a neutral palette, this is one worth looking into. So I personally really like this one. The formulas here feel very creamy to the texture. They're like that powder, like cream to powder type of formula. They're not so creamy that you have to be careful which kind of eyeshadow brush you use with them, but they are creamy enough that they glide on smoothly, and they just have that like a little bit of that soft sheen in there that makes it look not dry. So I think this is really great for eyelids that are a little bit drier. My eyelids have been pretty sensitive and dry from tons of eye swatches recently, and I find that these really make them look a lot better. They don't emphasize any lines. I really love the Givenchy eyeshadows. Performance for these, they last all day without creasing. I do typically wear a primer. I usually use the Viseart eye primer or the Sugu eye primer. Those are the two I've been using the most. And with those, I don't experience any creasing or fading, no like fallout or powder dust kick up underneath the eye throughout the day. So performance is fantastic. And I love the finishes of these eyeshadows because we have kind of that soft matte, like soft satin matte kind of finish from a lot of the shades. So you can get a really soft, neutral, sophisticated look, but you also have these shimmers that they can be more on the subtle side depending on how you apply them, or you can build them up. They are never going to be blinding shimmers though, so just something to note. And I really love this particular color story with the mix of, you know, all these neutrals that lean warm, lean cool, but are primarily right there in the middle. So in the demos, you can see that the one day I really went for a warmer eye look, which is definitely something that's easy to accomplish with this palette. And then today my eye looks a bit more cool, a little, you know, it's pretty neutral. And this would probably be more of my like everyday look from the Givenchy palette. I absolutely love these tones. I think they're a really great collection of browns and taupes. We've got, again, some warmer shades and some cooler shades. So overall, I think this is a really nice palette. We will do a few comparisons of these. So let's go ahead and take a look. So my favorite Givenchy palette is this one here, which is 9.03. This is one that I use a lot. And I have to say, it is fantastic. So I wanted to compare kind of these browner shades here. So this is actually a deep purple, so we're going to skip that. We're going to take a look though. Well, you know what? Let me just go ahead and swatch the whole palette. So we'll put the whole palette vertically here so we can kind of keep things separate. That's the second shade. This is the first shade. So you can see it's really going to be that deep purple shade. And then in the top row here, this is going to be more of a silver versus the creamy white that we have in the new palette. Now, this palette, we do have a pop of color in it, but we do have some of these like more neutral brown shades in here as well. And I think it's a really great option as well. You can see this is kind of more of a like, it's a soft rosy brown. And then this is the purple shade in the middle, which is a really pretty soft lilac. And then we have this kind of grayish shade here. And it looks a lot like this one here, the second to last shade in the 9.12. They look pretty similar in the pan, but you can see that this one is going to be a bit more gray. This palette overall is going to be cooler in tone in general. We have a very soft light pink here. And I have to say, I don't really use that shade very much. I love, though, this like fuchsia shade here. And you can see we've got a little bit of a blue reflect in there. And then we have this gorgeous like shimmery aubergine. So this is 9.03, which I think also looks great with the neutral shades. So we do have some similar tones in there. However, these neutrals are going to lean overall a little bit cooler, but we have more color in this one. So if you're not looking for something that is completely neutral, this would be a good option. Now, I just recently reviewed this Natasha Denona face palette, and I have to say, this shade here, the first 3 shades in general, they really made me think of this Givenchy palette. So let me go ahead and compare those. So we have the shade Everyday, which is our first shade, and we're going to put that one right by the first shade from the Givenchy, but you can see this is going to be a little bit warmer. It's got a little bit more golden hue to it. Then we have Dreamy, which is a sparkly shade, but we do have the same type of undertone, but this is going to be more of a glitter versus a very smooth shimmer. And then Statement is our deeper brown. Let's see how that compares up. You know, it's actually going to be pretty close to this one instead. So those are going to be closer. And we might as well just look at the gray shade as well, which is Casual. And we'll put this down here, but it's going to not really go with any of these, but what is special about this shade is it's gray when it's built up, but you can sheer it out and there is a brown base. So that's the Natasha Denona palette. And then, although this palette is pretty different, I did want to compare this one. This is a Cle de Nuit from Chanel. And this is just the other neutral palette I've been reaching for a lot. So I wanted to go ahead and just swatch it so you can see how different they are. But we start off with a black, then we have kind of this soft, it's more of a golden khaki tan shade. And then there's a little bit of shimmer in that. And then we have kind of this soft putty-like shade. And you can see that it is similar to a mix of these two, but we have a little bit more of a warm grayish or gray base to it. So then the last shade in Cle de Nuit is this shimmer, which is kind of this greenish gold kind of shade. Really beautiful. So this is another just neutral palette that I've been using a lot. So overall though, let's face it, we all have a ton of neutrals in our collections. So are these Givenchy shades going to be new? No, we've seen these shades before, but having them all together in a nice collection and having them actually be neutral shades without, you know, just having a few neutrals in a collection of warm eyeshadows, for me, that's really nice. And I love the formula for the Givenchy shadows. So for me, this palette is a must-have. It's going to end up becoming a regularly used product in my collection. But for everybody, it's not going to be a must-have because, again, these are going to be shades that we've seen in other places. So I hope these comparisons were helpful. And I have to say, between the 9.12 and the 9.03, I don't know which one I'm going to end up using more. It's really tough, but I have to say these two are probably going to be my top 2 Givenchy palettes out of all of the ones that I have so far. So I have to say I really, really like these, and this is just such an easy everyday palette for me. So while we're talking about eyes, let's move on to the mascara. So Givenchy released a new mascara, and you can purchase the mini travel size like I did, or there is a full size option as well. So we'll talk about the details for this in just a second, but let me just show you this mini. So this opens up here. This is our brush, and I'll show you a close-up in the demo in just a minute. But you can see that it is primarily it's flattened here with the spikes going around it. We've got kind of those nylon bristles. And I have to say, it's a really nice mascara. I have to say, I am impressed. So we have a true black shade. Let's move on to the eye demos. Now, I've been wearing this for a few days now, and I have to say, I really like it. So I've recently featured the Queen Museum mascara on my channel, which I really love. It gives you those nice, beautiful, everyday feathery lashes, and it is pretty natural looking if you go with just like 1 or 2 coats. Now, I have to say, this is kind of like a vamped up version of that. You're still getting that feathery separation, which I love. That's something that I really look for in mascaras, but you're getting a little bit more volume with this as well. So it can definitely be amped up. You can add more coats and get this really kind of even more volume with this for, like date night or whatever. And I have to say, I think it is a really great mascara, and I'm really impressed. This is going to be a favorite of mine as well. And I have to say, with mascaras, I'm pretty picky. My favorites aren't brand new anymore. We have the Sisley So Stretch, the Surat Noir Lash Tint. I really love that new Westman Atelier, and then the Queen Musia and this new Givenchy L'Interdit Mascara Couture Volume. It's incredible. So I'm really happy to see that the mascaras that have been coming onto the market recently are featuring a little bit more separation of your lashes, which I really see with this one. Now, according to Givenchy, this ultra black mascara is buildable and delivers a 177% increased volume to instantly intensify your eyes with the most sophisticated volume. The new and exclusive brush is designed to coat and separate each lash for the ultimate result. It's a makeup result that lasts all day with 24-hour wear. Now, I have not tested it for 24 hours, but I have to say I have not experienced any flaking, any sort of crumpling, any transfer, anything throughout the day. And it says it's as easy and mistake-proof to apply as it is to remove with just warm water. And I have not had any issues with removal. Now, like many other mascaras that have been entering the market, this one does have ingredients to nourish and smooth your lashes and make them look better over time. This one does not note anything about lengthening your lashes, so just something to note there. But they do have a variety of ingredients like D-panthenol, ceramides, or ceramide-like actives to really kind of nourish and take good care of your lashes. Now, the full-size mascara has 8 grams of product and it retails for $35 US. The mini that I have here is 4 grams of product and retails for $19 US. So it's definitely a better deal to get the full size, but I do have to say that the mini, thankfully, you're still getting a good amount of mascara in here. We do have a 6-month shelf life, which is standard for mascaras or any liquids going near the eyes, and it is made in France. I have to say, I really like the mascara a lot. I'm very impressed, and it's definitely going in my regular rotation, and hopefully this will show up at Sephora in time for the Sephora sale, and I definitely plan on picking up a full size at that time. Now, the other 2 products are these liquid lip balms from Givenchy. Now, I love the Givenchy liquid lip balms. I have one that I use constantly. Now, I love the formula of these. So this is the one, though, that I use all the time. I actually, you can't really see in here, but it's halfway gone. I can see like a little line here. I'm not sure if you can see that, but because it was lying on its side, I do have it, kind of coating the edges here. But this is one that I use all the time. I have all of the shades, but 210 is my favorite. So I'm going to put 210 on here just to show you what that looks like. But this is kind of that, everyday rose shade. And I wanted to show you this because all of the shades in the permanent line here have this kind of finish. We have this shiny, glossy finish to them without any shimmer. These 2 new ones have shimmer. So I want to show you how that looks on the skin. And so we have shade 220. This is what is on my lips right now. And I'm going to put these this way so you can kind of see. And we can see we have kind of this like nice brightening pink here. So you can see that there is a shimmer, but it's pretty subtle on the lips. You're not seeing like glitter chunks or anything like that, but you are getting enhanced light reflection. So it's tiny little gold flecks in this shade, and that's 220. And this one here, this one is a little bit softer on the shimmer. It's also softer on the pigmentation though. So this one here is going to be kind of this soft peach. This is 109, and you can see it's kind of a nude peach. Think of like a liquid camel color peach. So again, we've got a little bit of shimmer in this one, but it's less noticeable than the pink one. And the shimmer in here, you can see it looks kind of like a gold reflect in the tube, but honestly on the skin, you don't really see it too much. So 220, 109, 210. Let's take a look at these on the lips. So the Givenchy Rose Perfecto Tinted Liquid Lip Balms have 6 milliliters of product. They retail for $39 US. And I have to say, I really love this formula. According to Givenchy, it says, care for your natural glow with the first marbled couture liquid lip balm infused with color and care. With 97% skincare ingredients, its hydrating and comfortable formula is enriched with hyaluronic acid, vitamin C, shea butter, and pink pepper for a nourishing, smoothing, and plumping effect. Day after day, lips are soothed, moisturized, and radiantly healthy. Lips are instantly beautified thanks to the immediate plumping effect and ultra-caring creamy texture. Swathed in 24-hour hydration, the lips are nourished and smooth. Now, as for my thoughts on the formula, as I mentioned, I do really like this. I find it very comfortable. It is nourishing on the lips. There's a slight plumping effect, but in my opinion, nothing major. And when you put this on, you will notice that there is a little bit of a tingly sensation. There is the tiniest bit of mint in here, so you can feel a little bit of tingling from that. And if you are to smell it, it's a little bit of a vanilla mint kind of scent. So it's very subtle. It's not something overpowering. And honestly, it's not something I really notice unless I go and actually sniff my wand. Texturally, these are smooth. They are not sticky. They are nourishing on the lips. To say they're really comfortable. And I really love how they feel on the lips. But remember that there is going to be a little bit of that tingling sensation upon first application. So I just wanted to do a quick comparison of this. This is the Rose Perfecto lip balm, so not the liquid version. And this is one that just came out for spring. This is shade number 308, and we've got special packaging. This is limited edition. And I just wanted to show you how the shade compares. So it's going to be, it's going to be cooler. It's a cooler pink than the 220 that we have from Givenchy in the liquids, but this is another great option if you are not looking for a liquid lip balm. Their solid balms are also fantastic, so really like these, and you can see that's going to give you a little bit more punch. Now, I just wanted to compare a couple shades from the permanent line. This is shade number 110, so I wanted to show you how 110 compares to 109. And you can see here, again, we have no shimmer at all with this one. I take that back. There is the tiniest bit of shimmer. It's actually pretty comparable to 109 in that case. But you can see that 110 is going to be a bit more opaque in color. And it has a little bit more brown in there. This is going to be more of a nude shade. So I do take it back. There's a little bit of shimmer in both of these. So just so you can see them in the tube together, we have 109 here and 110. Now here we have 220, and then this one is 37 from the permanent line. There is definitely no shimmer in 37. And this is going to be another more pigmented option. Let me put that here. This is really going to be more of a red. But just wanted to show you how those compare from these new shades. So I hope this has been helpful. I have to say, I really love all of these new Givenchy products. The neutral palette here, 9.12, is awesome. The new lip glosses are beautiful. The pink one, 220, is my personal favorite between the two. And then the new mascara is fantastic. So I'll definitely be using that regularly, and I'll have an update on you when I get closer to finishing that too. But it's a wonderful mascara. So thank you so much for tuning in. Please let me know if you've tried any of these, what your thoughts are on the formulas and the shades. And I can't wait to hear what you think in the comments. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day.